Welcome, everyone. This is our second GCAS intervention for Justice for Reverend Pickney up in Benton Harbor, Michigan. He's fighting some trumped-up charges on 5 felony counts of forgery for election recall for a local mayor. And basically, the Reverend's been a fighter for racial and socioeconomic justice for decades up in Michigan, fighting corporations, and they're taking over of basically every bit of our land, taking our rights away, and we have to fight for Reverend Pickney right now. And GCAS is behind Reverend Pickney and everyone that will help and support him. His sentencing hearing is Monday, so we need as much support as possible. And I'll open the floor to Reverend Pickney to give a little bit of background information first, and then we'll ask questions if we have any. So Reverend Pickney, please begin and let us know about what's going on up in Benton Harbor with you and Maytag and all the other issues that are involved here.
Well, you know, there is something that's very, very important that's happening here. The fight with Whirlpool Corporation has now exceeded just about on every level. Now we're in a real, what you call, a dogfight with them, trying to stop them from taking completely over the city of Benton Harbor, driving people completely out of the community. As you know, they got a signature Jack Nicklaus golf course, and it's surrounded by these condominiums that's worth probably maybe $250,000. So that's one area that they have but they're trying to move this way towards where the people of color live. On the other side of Main Street is mostly Caucasians. On this side is now the city of Benton Harbor. And before, now we remember we was 96% African American. Now we down to about 92%. So they're steady. You can see the difference in exactly what's happening. So we've been fighting, trying to keep them from taking over completely everything. They control the school system. They control the city government. They control the court system. They control the county. They control everything that goes on here goes through Whirlpool Corporation.
Right, and I love this quote that you had actually a little bit ago. I found it on your site. It says, "The fight in Benton Harbor is a war. It's not a conflict. It's a war over whether America will have prosperity and democracy or live in poverty under the heel of open corporate rule." And I think that's straight to the point of what we're talking about here.
Oh, absolutely, and I say this so that people can understand the importance of what we're doing here. See, a lot of times people don't understand exactly where we at and what we need to do. And
exactly.
Yeah, and this is, see, people have to understand this is no conflict. This is the real deal. They started here in the city of Benton Harbor to see how much people would take and how much they can get away with. Then they went to other cities in Michigan. They went to Flint, Michigan. They went to Pontiac. They went to different area, Highland Park, and then they was ready to tackle Detroit. See what they have done? They have drained Detroit right now of all these resources. See, this guy named Don Gilbert, the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, he went up. He was buying blocks and blocks at a time, and you got the Chinese in there, and I think it's 7 billionaires that was fighting with the Chinese for control of Detroit. But it all stems back to Benton Harbor.
Yeah.
Everything started with Benton Harbor. The water. The first thing they did here, they tripled the water rate. Once they tripled the water rate, then they start cutting people water off. You get your water cut off, they put a condemned sign on your house. And then if you have children, they come in and take your children. They do all that. So we are in what you call a real tug of war here, and
for sure.
And they've been doing the same thing for years. This thing didn't just start yesterday. This thing started, maybe 15, 20 years ago.
And you've been fighting it all along, and I think that's part of why you're being targeted here.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and this is their way. But when you think about them targeting me, this is only temporarily, though. See, they don't understand this. Regardless what they do, I'm going to be able to come back. because we know the most important thing, there was absolutely no evidence that could have convicted me. You see,
Exactly.
and I believe, as bad as the appeal courts are,
Yeah.
they would have to look at this and say, no, this can't be right.
Yeah.
How they got it wrong, you know. So that's
Exactly.
what we're looking at, and that's what we're dealing with. You see, because we know for a fact, you know, that the jury was tainted. Okay. I cannot see them sentencing me on Monday, then want to come back and do those motions. But they might try to do anything just to nail me, you know. But I'm good with it. You see, I'm at peace with it. You see, because all it's going to do if they decide to put me in jail, they're going to make me a worldwide hero.
No doubt about it.
Right, because everybody going to see the key word. He was convicted with not a single piece of evidence. Now, look.
And the tainted jury.
You know, in a way, you kind of wish they had something, because I look stupid going to jail with no evidence.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, the guy said, "What you in here for?" I said, they didn't have no evidence. They didn't try to beat me up.
Yeah, you're like,
the thing about this.
Hey,
Preston, this is for you. Now listen to this. This is good. I'm in jail now, and some of them tough guys come up to me and say, "Why you here?" I said, "They put me in jail with no evidence. I might get beat up."
Precisely.
So maybe that's their plan. So whatever their plan is, it's not gonna last, because. But now listen to this. I got the legal guild. I got the ACLU, Michigan State. They're all gonna be writing briefs for me.
Nice.
So what my goal here's what I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to get some of these college law departments, as many as possible, to write a brief about this. This is what I want to do. I want to get them to write those the amicus briefs and file them, because it's important that we have as many as possible, more or less like before. So I believe that, you know, people are going to want to get on board with this, because, you know, right now they could come pick you up out of your house, take you to jail, and tell you they don't need no evidence to convict you. And I wouldn't even have the nerve to tell somebody something like that. I don't need no evidence to convict you.
What kind of arrogance it must take.
He was bold with it. Those are his exact words. And even the judge echoed the same thing. Let's let the jury decide. I should have known there was something wrong right there.
So let's go back to your specific case, just for anybody that hasn't seen the last intervention. Just give some background on that. The 5 claimed forged signatures, and how many signatures you actually got, and what the process was you were involved in.
Right. Let's go all the way back to when they raided my home.
Exactly. Because, tell us about that again.
Yeah, they sent the SWAT team.
Crazy.
You talking about 35 to 40 law enforcement officers to my home for a recall petition. They surrounded my house. They blocked off the streets. Nobody can go in their own home. Nobody can come out of their home. The school was even locked down, which is down the street. All because of Reverend Pickney and the recall petition. Only in America.
Yeah,
the land of the free and the home of the brave. Only here. And here's the thing. Thank God I was not home. Because I don't know what they came to do with that much firepower.
Exactly. That much force.
You see? And see, when I got
bodily harm.
That's right. When I got the call, I was in more shock than anything else. Because
I'm sure.
Because I couldn't figure out what they wanted, why they wanted me, and why so much firepower. So I did go to my attorney, and when my attorney called them, they told him that they had a warrant for my arrest for 5 counts of forgery, changing a date on a recall petition. 5 counts.
And this is for a recall for the local mayor.
This is for the recall of the local mayor, James Hightower. We call him Low Tower. Most people call him No Tower. So
sounds good. Sounds about right.
He was the mayor, and when they said the 5 counts of forgery, then 6 counts allowing somebody to sign a petition twice, and which doesn't make sense. As it's about as stupid as it sounds, and yet still they was willing to go to trial with that. But here's the good news: at least they found me not guilty on those 6 counts. So that's any consolation.
They were reasonable on one occasion.
Right. So at least they had a heart. Let's put it that way. But the 5 counts of forgery, changing the date. And here's the good news: I want to send you the motion that we filed.
Definitely.
So y'all can have a look at that. I'm going to send that. We also asked for a direct verdict, which we're asking that there was no evidence, so we want you to dismiss all charges. Most likely they won't do that. I don't believe they will, but we got to ask anyway. Also, we filed this Hall case where they're talking about that there's no such charge as a felony for a forging a signature or changing a date. There's no such charge. And I think I may have told you this before. I told my attorney back in when he told me this. He said, I told him there is no such charge as a forgery on a recall petition or a nominating petition or any petition.
Precisely.
I said because down at the bottom it tells you if there's anything false on there, it's a misdemeanor charge. It tells you that.
Exactly.
So our fight is more or less, that's another reason why I don't think that they're going to hear our motions on Monday. I believe that they're not going to hear them because then they have to act. And they're going to do everything they can to act, and they'd rather sentence me, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because if they send me, then we got to come back and hear the motions. So I don't understand that logic at all. But
wasting everybody's time.
Only in America. Remember, only in America.
That's so true these days.
Yes.
So many things. I mean, Absolutely. New York, Ferguson, only in America these days.
Only in America.
And you had some new information about some jury issues too that you shared with us before we went live here. If you want to share that with anyone else.
And let me say this. This is really, really exciting because when I was testifying, I noticed the way that this one juror was looking at me. Looked like she was saying if her eyes could shoot, I'll be dead. You see, she was looking at me and I said, I couldn't figure out. I said, well, maybe it's a coincidence,
Right.
And then I said, okay, I let it go. Then on my way out, one of the guys said, the guy came up to me and said, what's a juror in seat 10? What's she doing on there? Then they said, first of all, they said she was a racist. I said, well, okay, well, we can't prove that, so I don't need to hear that. Then he said that she was Sharon Tyler, the county clerk friend. I said, okay, we can't prove that. Do you have any evidence to support it? So he didn't have any evidence to support it other than his word. So are you willing to testify to that? Then they're not willing to testify to it, but they're willing to say it. So I had to put them off. Then another person came up to me and told me the same identical thing. That this girl, her name is Girl Freeland, and Sharon Tyler. Now, Freeland is the witness. Tyler is the county clerk. They said that they was friends, and then she told me they're friends on Facebook. And that got my attention. So now we can prove what we're saying.
Tangible connection.
Right. The first thing we do, we go on Facebook and we find the name, we find the connection, and now we're excited because, okay, she might have other Facebook friends, but you should have told us that you were Facebook friends. We would have got rid of you.
Relevant information. Definitely relevant information. Beyond.
Very relevant. See, first, the prosecutor asked her, did she know her? She said nothing. My attorney asked her, did she know her? She said nothing. Then we asked her specifically, did she know Sharon Tyler? And she was silent. And this is just the beginning.
Perjury.
Every year, for the last 4 years, that Sharon Tyler and this juror, and she's the chairperson of the parade, has been in the parade for 4 straight years, and she don't know her.
Yeah, right.
How naive can we be? And then it gets better. We asked her about the law enforcement. Do you have any connection with law enforcement? She was silent again. The undersheriff daughter and her are Facebook friends. And the undersheriff's daughter won Blossom Time, which she is the chairperson of. And then in the parade, the first 13 individuals or horses or whatever in the parade are law enforcement. And it's been that way for the last 10 years. So now she don't know, she's not connected with any law enforcement. So she was lying just to be on. And see, that's why I think the judge don't want to hear that. He want to get his jollies off by sentencing me Monday. See, that's gonna be the biggest thing in his life when he sentenced me. And he's gonna be so happy that he's not gonna know what to do, which is so amazing. Also, I got this notarized letter. Can you see this? It's notarized.
I can see the notarization.
Right. Okay. They went to the Republican meeting. These are Republicans. And at the meeting on November the 15th, this guy attended the meeting, the GOP meeting, at 3721 Lincoln Avenue in St. Joseph, Michigan. He said the meeting began at approximately 10:30 a.m. and was attended by approximately 50 people. He said during the meeting, the chairperson, Sharon Tyler, now this is the person we keep talking about, the clerk, also did some recalls on her. She announced the result of my trial, Reverend Edward Pickney trial. She said that I had been found guilty and would be sentenced on December the 15th, and everybody in the place started cheering. They gave her a standing ovation.
That's disgusting.
And it said it lasted for 3 to 4 minutes. And this guy said I was too embarrassed. It was like a wild lynch mob. He said I could not believe what I was listening. That's why he did it. Because he said, and then it goes on, it gets better. He said during the time that's reserved for comments for elected officials, Sheriff Paul Bailey once again gets up and announced the result of Reverend Pickney trial. And the room erupted. Once again, they started cheering, applauding, saying they were so happy. Then he said, I felt like I was surrounded by a lynch mob. Judging from the reaction I witnessed at that meeting, I concluded that several members what I can only describe as sadistic pleasure each time they heard that Reverend Pickney was convicted and will be punished. So I say all this. This is what we are up against.
Right.
Even like it goes back to this juror that we was talking about. She's all part of this. She's part of the law enforcement because every year they have the same parade, and every year she's a chairperson. Every year she invites the sheriff and everybody else. So she's part of this. And yet she sat on that jury knowing, she knew She knew all along what she was going to do, even before the trial started. So this is what I call it's good information. You know, I'm pretty sure that they're gonna try to figure out a way how to get around this. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I expect them to sentence me on Monday. I do expect that. They might take me into custody, and they might not take me into custody.
True.
You see, they might and they might not, since we got these two things hanging over their head.
Of course.
So either way it goes, I'm really not concerned about it, because if they take me into custody, Mike gonna do what he needs to do and get the word out all around the world. We're gonna call Crescent, and everybody's gonna know that
we're
exactly
continuing to spread the word. Oh yeah,
that's right. And
we're
man is being killed with no evidence.
No evidence, and furthermore, no evidence. It's clear that you're being targeted for your social activism work. It's clear that they're targeting you because you're someone that speaks out against the dominant ideology, the dominant hegemonic control over almost all aspects of our life by corporate rule. And you speaking out about that is invaluable to us at GCAS, and we are friends for life, Reverend. And if you have anything else to add to what you've said, go ahead, and if not, I'd like to open the floor to any other questions anybody else has, because you pretty much covered everything that I wanted you to cover today.
Let me say one other thing. It's important that we start explaining to people what we're up against. Not just, see, here's the thing too. It's not really about Reverend Pickney. See, that's what I try to explain to people. It's not really about me, because they can lock me up and it's over with. It's really about each and every one of you. Because if they can do it to me, they can do it to you. So,
it's the same story. They knocked on the Jews' door and I didn't say anything. They knocked on the Christians' door and I didn't say anything. And now they're at my door.
That's right.
That's the logic
there it is. All right, well, let's open the floor up.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions for the Reverend, I'll mute myself now and you guys can go at it.
I have a question.
It was great having you, Reverend.
Thank you very much, Reverend Pickney, for this. This has been phenomenal, and you share your story. I feel honored. Thank you so much. I have a question having to do, to what degree do you think this targeting has to do with the fact that you're an African American, and to what degree do you think this targeting has to do with you standing up against a $13 billion corporation called Whirlpool? Is that possible to answer that question?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things, always remember this, as an African American, you are not supposed to stand up to the power structure. You see, by me standing up to them, what I'm doing is saying that you're not as powerful as you think you are. And so if I get rid of him, I'll be dealing with the other half of the community who probably too afraid to stand up. You see, every time something happens here, they always come and get me. And they know I'm coming. That's the difference. So now if they can eliminate me, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't really care. Like I told a newspaper reporter the other day, I don't even care what they do, which is not important to me. It's what I do. That's what's important. And I believe in fighting. And when you talk about Whirlpool themselves, like I said earlier, they control everything in this community. They control everything. You know, nothing goes on in this community without them. So I have said to them, no, we're going to stop you. Like, let me give you an example about the water. They had spliced into the water supply. They were stealing water for the golf course. Nobody would have known about it except that the pipe busted. And now somebody had to come out and repair. And it just so happened when it busted, some of the people called me when they heard about it, and I immediately went to work. And I called them a bunch of thieves. I said, you got all this money, and you didn't steal. You had to steal from little bitty Benton Harbor, who right now is in the red. They didn't like that. They didn't like being called out like that. To them, that was a no-no. We do what we want to do, and you accept it. or we'll try to crush you. That's their message.
And they're not only thieves; they're the backwards Robin Hoods. So Robin Hood turned on their head. They're stealing from the poor to give to the rich.
Absolutely,
Basically.
absolutely.
And, yeah, that's just unacceptable. Everything.
They're the Hood Robin instead of the Robin Hood.
Exactly.
Yeah. They're the hood. Right. Hood Robin. I like that. That's great.
Okay.
Yes, they are.
Well,
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for answering my question. And do you feel safe right now? I mean, what's your psychological sense of being? Are you how's your support system going on with your sentencing coming up here? How do you feel?
Well, you know what? I feel more for my wife than myself. My concern is more her than me. Whatever they do, I'm able to deal with it. You see, because I know that I will be back. You know, last time we talked about how they had thought that they had buried me, but they found out they only planted me. That's pretty much the same situation today. You see, because I will be back, stronger and bigger than ever.
And this tree grows, and this is about organization too. It's not only about knowing who we're fighting. It's about organization and making sure we have the right structures in place to support not only Pickney, but everybody else that finds themselves in a similar situation.
Absolutely. We just have to do what we need to do.
Who are your inspiring? Who are your inspiring figures that you look after, that you think about, that help you, give you encouragement? What kind of men or women do you draw upon to get inspiration?
Well, one of my heroes is Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. And when I was about 13, I believe, 12 or 13, I don't know, I always get them confused. I had the opportunity to actually meet Martin Luther King. He came to our community and he spoke. And my father always would tell me, he said, "You are going to get a piece of history today." He was talking about that for about a whole week. That's all he ever came out of his mouth. And at that age, we could care less, about Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or anything else. We could care less. And every day we'd come home from school, he said, "Yeah, it's getting closer to that time. We're going to, you're going to go down here and y'all, we're going to be all part of history, And then when I went there, when he spoke, it probably changed my life for the rest of my life. Because never before had I ever thought that I would be so moved by someone speaking at that age. I mean, he got me excited. And from then on, I always was part of whatever was going on in the community. You see, if something was going on, then I would always be part of it. And I made sure that we always help each other. That was my key word. We have to help each other. Even when I was 12 and 13 and 14, I always thought that we got to figure out a way how are we going to help each other. Because I always thought that there was strength in numbers. Exactly. So he was my hero. Him and Malcolm. And matter of fact, I just got through listening to Malcolm. I got through listening to Martin Luther King just before we came on.
Sometimes when I want to get psyched up, I listen to "I Have a Dream" speech. It just psychs me up,
Yeah, absolutely.
Malcolm X lived in Lansing, Michigan. His father was killed on the tracks there in Lansing.
Yeah.
And his mom went to a hospital not too far from you, actually, and died or something. Yeah.
Absolutely.
My political awakening. Go ahead.
Yes.
Oh no, I was just going to mention my political awakening itself was through the autobiography of Malcolm X when I was 12 or 13ish. That's when I woke up and started seeing things differently. And I hear Malcolm and Martin's spirit in you, my friend, and it's great to hear. So go ahead and say what you were going to say. I'm sorry for interrupting.
It's an honor, really, to.
It truly is an honor.
And it's also an honor to hear your words, but also to see you and to hear your story and what you believe in. Very few people have what you have, and I think that this is commendable. You're an amazing human being, and I'm honored to have met you.
Well, I'm honored to have met each and every one of you because it's a pleasure, and it shows what we can do if we decide to work together. You see, that's the weapon they use against us. They use that divide and conquer. You know, that way they don't have to do any fighting at all. So that's why it's crucial. All over the world, we all come together and fight this monster.
Precisely. I couldn't have said it better.
If there's any, I don't want. If anybody else wants to ask a question, please step in because I don't want to monopolize. But
definitely.
Can you see the Sears Tower on a clear day from Benton Harbor?
Absolutely not. It's close though.
Okay, I was wondering if you could see all the way
close, but absolutely not. And remember, Benton Harbor is directly across the lake to Chicago. It used to have a shuttle to go straight from Benton Harbor to Chicago.
Okay. Well, you know, Chicago, turns out, was the breeding grounds for professors back in the 40s after World War II who designed this thing called neoliberalism, which is exactly what the Whirlpool tactics are in Benton Harbor. It literally was designed there. You know where they experimented on this? In Pinochet's regime. That was their first experiment where Pinochet killed over 3,000 people, probably more, and 30,000 people were tortured. And they tried to bring it to democracy, and they have succeeded through Reagan, through Thatcher in England. And guess what? You're feeling those effects from Chicago. What Pinochet, the dictator who violated human rights and was sentenced and everything, he called the professors from the University of Chicago his Chicago boys. And guess what? They come home. You know Malcolm X when he says the chickens have come home to roost? Well, guess what? They have come home again, and it's time to kick those guys out.
That's right. The chicken have come home to roost. I agree.
I hear that.
Anyway, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much.
Salim, it looks like you have a question.
Salim, do you have?
Well, my question is a little bit ambiguous in my own head, but I'll give it a shot. Reverend, do you think that because we see a structure of politics or governmental power, judiciary power being utilized and combined with the capital power of this huge corporation that has interests in the golf course and the condominiums that you were mentioning last time, do you think your case is an intimidation also towards your community, and how do you think is the community, or what would be your assessment at this point, how the community is reacting to this fact that they are appearing to be winning in this case? So is it having a negative effect on your community, or is it actually bringing up a kind of dissatisfaction that might move them to action, actually, to further positive action? What would be your assessment?
Are you referring to my case, or is that what you're saying?
Yes. It seems that your case is being used to intimidate the rest of the community.
Oh, absolutely.
Where you are. And I just want to know how the community feels towards it, and whether they feel that they need to do more, or do they feel intimidated? Are those who are trying to intimidate the community succeeding or not? That's basically the question.
Here's the thing. Remember when they brought the SWAT team out? That was that really wasn't for me, because I kind of believe they knew I was not at home. Because I cannot believe for 1 second that they would have brought that much firepower out here if I'm at home. Because, like I said, they could have called me on the phone, and I would have turned myself in. So I think it was for the community, another way to intimidate them. And trust me, this community is intimidated. But one of the things I will say, everybody who the prosecutor called to testify for him turned out to be my witness. and just told the truth. Normally they scare you. Well, if you don't say this, we're going to put you in jail. We're going to plant drugs on you. It's always was something. But now these people stood tall, and I'm proud of them. And at one time, now listen to this, probably only about 35 to 40% of the people supported me. Now over 70% supports me. And when I drive down the street, I got this car, this 1998 Mercury Mystique. I drive, and it's like you're being a rock star. Everybody want to wave. Everybody, they want to stop and talk to you. They just, when they see you, they run after your car. If the stop sign there, they try to catch you, and probably haven't ran a day in their life, and they want to run and catch me. And I think what has happened so far is that we have now decided that we're going to stand up and fight this monster. And that's what I see. I no longer see them being, they're still intimidated now, don't get me wrong. And they count on me. You see, if something happens, they call me. And they know I'm coming. And this is another reason why Whirlpool came after me. Because they have nobody else in this city who they can call other than me.
And it seems like it's much harder to organize a democracy where it takes cooperation, organization, trust, community development, and so on. And it's much easier to bulldoze a community over from people who take authority and power away from the people illegally. And that's what's happened in Benton Harbor and other cities around Michigan. This emergency managers or these emergency factors that they're just taking democracy away. And democracy is so fragile. And without people like you, democracy would not continue to happen. And that's you speak for many of us in the future generations.
So true. So true. Yes, thank you, Reverend. It's been great having you. Does anybody else have any questions for the Reverend? I mean, this has been a great intervention, I think. I think we've gotten all the information out there we need. Okay. If anyone else has any questions.
Wait, do you want?
The floor is open.
Oh, quick question. Reverend, did you, did anyone, sorry, Maria, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Reverend, for all this. This is fascinating, and your spirit is actually an inspiration for us. Thank you so much. What I would like to ask you is this. We have seen now globally a social movement, a civil rights movement going up that Black Lives Matter. Do you think that you could unite your case with all the killings of Black people and all the injustice that have that Black people have suffered from? Do you think that it is doable to unite in this civil rights movement for Black lives?
Absolutely. They're all connected. It just shows, like in Ferguson, Missouri, Michael Brown, when the officers shot and killed him, Wilson. You see, they had evidence that said that Wilson had killed Michael Brown. They had evidence to support it. You talk about Eric Gardner. They had a videotape to show that the officer had killed him.
That's obscene.
Now here's how you connect me with that. I goes to trial with absolutely no evidence, and they convict me. They let the Ferguson, the cop in Ferguson off. They let the cop in New York off, and yet they convict me with no evidence.
Yeah, not only that, up in New York, the only person indicted was the person that shot the film.
Right, the person that videotaped it. He videotaped it, and he gets indicted. I mean, what is this world coming to? He may as well kill somebody. Put on a cop uniform. Yeah, absolutely. They're all, see, my situation is that's how I connect all three of them together. They had evidence in Ferguson. They had evidence in Staten Island, New York. They had no evidence in Benton Harbor. But yet I'm the only one that's being persecuted.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to frame it.
Only in America.
Only in America, that's true.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for connecting the dots there for us. And again, your narrative lives in the fabric of a broken country, and a country that is afraid, a country that uses military might and gets people off when they're guilty, and a country that uses people like yourself who are innocent and they accuse you and they threaten you. Oh my goodness, this is not acceptable, and only in America. I mean, this is bizarre because I grew up thinking America, land of the free, home of the brave, but look what's happened to America.
And this is what we need to wake people up to.
See, and remember this country, it's been a fraud for a long time. It's just that now thanks to the internet, we are able to do this because you can't read the newspaper, the corporate newspaper, because they would have you sold, thinking that this is the greatest country in the whole world. And then you watch television, you can't believe that, wow, this country is wonderful. There is no better country. And then you also hear lawyers say this too. So anytime you hear a lawyer say that we got the greatest justice system in the world, avoid him at all costs.
Yeah, be questioning any lawyer saying anything.
You don't want him to defend you, or you don't even want him around you if he said that this is the greatest system there is in the world. And that's what they always say.
Do you think the civil rights movement worked? I mean, look, are African Americans better off today? I mean, of course, in some ways, yes, but what do you think of the civil rights movement in light of 2014? I
think that we're worse off today than we were in the 60s and the 70s. Here's my thinking. In the 60s and the 70s, we had more people working. You see, we have less people working. Let me tell you, in Benton Harbor, 70% of the people that live here is unemployed. It could be even higher. So I never known unemployment to be like this. Always remember that, you know, that if you decide to change jobs, you can change jobs in 3 jobs in one day. You know, especially here in Benton Harbor. But unfortunately, I don't see now every job you got to fight for it. There's no such thing as, you know, and that's how they do. That's how they separate us too. You know, it's only 10 jobs, and you got almost 1,000 people applying for the 10 jobs.
Yep.
You see?
Yeah, that's connected back to what Creston was talking about, neoliberalism in the 80s, and Reagan and Thatcher and Pinochet. It's all connected back to there. I think that's what dismantled the civil rights movement to a great deal.
Yes.
Great point.
Absolutely. But we see some of this stuff, they know what they're doing. Automation have came in and really have hurt us. See, you know, like I always say, you could make, it took 50 people to make one automobile. Now you can make 50 automobiles with one person. Yeah. So you're talking about 49 jobs. And that's just on one machine, you know, through the factory. So you got all these unemployed people. What are we going to do with them?
And where is all that extra money going? Up into the upper echelon. It's not coming back to the community at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'd love to have you come on here and teach a class for us on this.
Hey, I would love to do so.
That'd be excellent. Yeah, we'll stay in touch.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
I mean, I'll be up there Monday to see you anyway, but
let's do it.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch. We'll get that set up.
Reverend, thank you for your time. Michael, phenomenal job. Way to set this up. Salim,
no problem at all.
Good to see you. Maria.
Josh. It was great seeing you all. Thank you, Reverend Pickney. It was an honor.
Michael, I'll see you Monday, Michael.
I'll see you Monday morning, early Monday morning, Reverend.
All right. And we're going to do an interview before we go in.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Right.
Is that going to be broadcast?
Yeah, I can broadcast that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Figure that. I mean,
absolutely.
Perfect.
Cool. Absolutely. And if you want to bring that in, I'm going to connect you with the person so you can bring it in too.
Okay. Yeah, I'll bring everything I have and see if I can bring it in.
Okay.
That sounds great,
Thank you
Reverend.
again. Fight the power.
Yes, fight.
All right. It's going down.
Mm-hmm.
It
All
surely is.
right.
And we're here for you.
It's going
Yes.
Everybody else
down.
that's in a
We shall
situation like this.
overcome. We shall
That's right.
overcome. Yes.
That's
I mean,
right. We almost have to overcome.
we have no choice.
We have
Yeah.
no choice. And just like Malcolm
That's
said,
right.
if you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing, and that's what they're doing these days.
Right. Absolutely. That's absolutely right on.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
And
stay
we
strong,
will
Reverend.
talk.
I'll see you in a day and a half. I'll see you.
All right. Looking forward to
I
it.
look forward to meeting you in person, my friend.
All right then.
It's been a
Everybody,
great
y'all have a
intervention.
good day.
Yeah, you
Have a
too, my friend.
wonderful weekend, Reverend.
Bye now.
Yes, stay strong. Bye.
I will.